Okay, Tess, we are talking about a very spooky story today. It is the OG crime of the century. We are talking about the Lindbergh baby kidnapping,
Never heard of it, don't know a single thing about it.
which I always think is so fun when we start at like a base zero.
Same, but everyone else is like, "Holy shit, I can't believe you're doing this." And I'm like, "Where have I been?"
Well, I think actually you're not alone. It happened in the 30s. It happened a very long time ago. And it does seem more of like a subject for the history/true crime girlies, not just the true crime girlies.
Okay, we're getting a little bit of everything.
We really are. So, should we just get into it?
Tell me about it.
All right, Tess. Nearly 100 years ago, the Lindbergh case was known as the crime of the century. Before JonBenét, before the OJ trial, we had the Lindbergh baby kidnapping.
A bebe?
Bebe. So on March 1st, 1932, a toddler was taken from his crib in an upstairs bedroom of a farmhouse in East Amwell, New Jersey. But it wasn't just any toddler. It was the son of famed aviator Charles Lindbergh and his wife Anne. The abduction sent off a nationwide hunt to find both the kidnapper and the bebe.
I just made that connection yesterday. I was like, "Oh, Lindbergh, like the man."
You knew Charles Lindbergh? Well, you and your travel and your aviation.
I know, isn't that, like, not actually that surprising, but, like, I knew about him.
Yeah.
I knew about him.
Well, actually, let's start there, Tess. Let's get into who Charles Lindbergh was because I was unfamiliar. So, Charles Lindbergh was a 6'2", blue eyed, blonde aviator and arguably the country's first global superstar.
We talked about him in the Amelia Earhart episode
Right.
because they did a journey together.
Maybe at some point. I
Uh-huh.
will say, first global superstar, we said on Ram before, I still think it's Alice Roosevelt.
And we are always gonna give her that title, so
Of
I don't
course.
agree, but he seems attractive.
Well,
No?
maybe in looks.
What we were just talking about before for the premium Rammies, Raz is everything.
Raz is everything. Exactly. Well, so his personality, let's go back to the parents, okay? So he was raised by parents who were intellectually intense and emotionally distant. His father was a stern Minnesota congressman, and his mother was a strong perfectionist type.
I think we've seen this film before.
And I didn't like the ending.
Yeah.
So from a young age, he showed like a near obsessive need for control and precision, which translated perfectly into being a pilot.
Why are all pilots like this? Just like what's his face, who Leo played? Or no, he wasn't a pilot.
Oh, Howard Hughes. Well,
But wasn't he a pilot?
he was obsessed with flying and he was just like a boy with toys,
Ooh,
you know?
I get it.
We'll do Howard Hughes one day on Ram.
I feel like we really should.
We have to. Charles Lindbergh became so famous because he was the world's first person to fly solo nonstop across the Atlantic. So from New York to Paris, he did so in 1927. He spent 33 hours flying alone.
Good God.
I would go crazy.
That's how long it used to take to get from the West Coast to the East Coast?
Yeah, apparently. And yeah, I guess so. And doing so
Wow.
solo, it had never been done before. And it was such a big deal, obviously, because of that. Like it really sets flying up to be a new form of travel. It was also one of the first events being broadcast in real time by radio. So people are gathering in their homes to listen to the updates, to track everything, because there's not TV at this time, there's no internet, obviously.
That's exciting. How did he sleep?
I don't know.
Or maybe he didn't.
Maybe a little extracurricular activities maybe
A
helped him
little
along?
a little speed or whatever it was called back then?
That's such a good question. I don't know.
'Cause it like, usually you have to have a co-pilot, right? Like, if something
Yeah,
happens.
but this time he flew solo.
And it's all these men trying to break records that you're like, "What are you trying to do?" It's white
It's
men
like
with too much time on their hands.
no, it's white men who have never known struggle, so they have to go climb a mountain.
It's giving Mount Everest. It's like, guys, sometimes I have no sympathy for those stories because 'cause I'm like, "Why are we doing this?
Why are you doing it? Yeah,
For who?"
exactly. But Tess, this makes him a huge celebrity. Like he just gets tons of awards and accolades. He wins the Medal of Honor. Like it made him an American hero and a global superstar.
Who was the president at this time? It
In the
says here
30s?
in the
Oh,
30s?
no, 1927. It was whoever was before FDR, I
The
think.
little glasses?
Or was it FDR? You guys do your homework. But Tess, something that didn't come out about Charles till later was that he was a bit of a Nazi sympathizer.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Yeah, he was vilified for the media, and this is going to be a lot later after the kidnapping. He accepted a medal for his contributions to aviation on behalf of Hitler in 1938.
Oh, he's trash.
He's trash, Tess. He was also a eugenics enthusiast.
Okay, I'm so sorry for what I said about thinking he's hot.
No, I mean, like,
We just didn't
physically,
we didn't know.
yeah, exactly. Physically attractive, internally vile.
Vile
Yeah.
monster.
So he wrote that his ideal romance was stable and long term with a woman with keen intellect, good health, and strong genes.
It's
And
giving Sydney Sweeney Jean ad, it really is.
wow. Okay. And like, how awful to be associated with that for the rest of your life. Choices have consequences.
She cannot go back. She literally can't erase that, no matter what
Yeah.
the intention was.
Yeah. Really tough. So he said his experience in breeding animals on his farm taught him the importance of good heredity.
Literally, why are you like, get a hobby.
Disgusting. Well, his hobby, you might say, were to play, I'm saying in quotes, practical jokes. He's such a weirdo. One of the things he did was he put laxatives and used them as candy to one of his unsuspecting flying buddies. So he gave him a laxative and told him it was candy. And then he also put kerosene as water and gave it to someone. He's a sick fuck.
What's wrong with him?
So many things. I mean, should we
Wha
go back to the parents?
well,
You know?
but Jesus, that's like dangerous pranks, like, something is not right with you.
Let's remember that, dangerous pranks, okay? We'll think about that
Okay.
later. And then he finds this poor girl, Anne Morrow Lindbergh, to marry. So Anne's dad was a diplomat. He was a senior partner at JP Morgan.
Sonia?
Don't touch the Morgan letters.
Mm-mm.
And he would go on to be the ambassador for the United States to Mexico. Her father had acted as a financial advisor to Charles. And after just 3 dates, two in an airplane and one in a car, Charles and Anne were engaged.
He is that type of man to be like, God, it's giving who's the pilot on The Bachelor?
Pilot Pete.
Pilot Pete, who's like, "Get in here and I'm gonna show you the world with some champagne," and you're just like, it's a little icky. Like, not everyone
Yeah.
wants to go in your plane. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Would it work on me? Probably.
Of course, but, like, it's, both
Yeah.
things can be true.
Both things can be true. So they get married on May 27th, 1929, at the Morrow Estate in Englewood, New Jersey. And once they're married, it's after Charles had done this big flight expedition. They're just constantly in the public eye. The media just like wants a piece of them constantly. And so they're like, okay, we're overwhelmed. We need some privacy. So they purchased a remote 600-acre lot in Hopewell, New Jersey, where they plan to build an estate that would be their primary home. And they do so with their 20-month-old son, Charles Jr. So construction on their home began in March of 1931, but they were so anxious to move out and get out of the city and into the countryside that they started staying there a few days of the week before it was even finished. So it was kind of like a weekend home, even when it was like under construction. And Charles Jr. took the nursery on the second floor.
Okay.
Now, in addition to Charles, Ann, and Charles Jr. living at the house, we have the nanny, Betty Gow. We have their butler, Ollie Watley, and his wife, Elsie,
What
living
a
with them.
name.
Ollie Watley.
Ollie Watley
Stunning.
in it.
In it.
Is
I
he
love it.
British? Probably not, but,
I'm sure he has heritage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's Ollie, Elsie, and the nanny, Betty, living in their house and the Lindbergh dog. And they're a very tight group. Oh, Tess. It was a rainy Tuesday evening on March 1st, 1932. And at approximately 9 p.m., the nanny, Betty Gow, went to the nursery to check on the baby Charlie. But she's horrified to find that the crib is empty.
Baby not there.
Baby not there. So she immediately runs to his mother, Anne, who had just come out of the bath. Anne doesn't have him. So then Betty alerted Charles Sr., who immediately went to the child's room. Still no baby. So everyone starts searching the house high and low. Charles goes back into the nursery, and near the window, he finds an envelope containing a letter.
Oh.
Right? So, Tess, this letter has poor handwriting and misspelled words and bad grammar, which I'm like, did I write this? I relate so much to that.
That's good.
If I ever wrote a ransom note, it would be described the same way.
You're like, "Whatever, you guys get the gist," you know?
You know what I'm trying to say, okay?
Truly.
So the envelope was addressed to Charles, and the letter said, I'm like, how should I read this? Should I read it how it was written or like the correct spelling? I'll go in and out.
Say how it was written maybe.
Okay. Okay. It says, Dear Sir, have $50,000 ready. After 2 to 4 days, we will inform you where to deliver the money. We, sorry.
With the money.
We warn you for making anything public, or sorry, I got to get through this. Anything public or for notify the police. The child is in gut care. Indication for all letters are signature and 3 holes. So, translation, hey, Charles, we have your kid. Give us $50,000. Don't tell the police. The child's in good care. Also, you're going to know this is us writing this letter from our signature. So, the signature was at the bottom of the letter. There were 2 interconnected blue circles surrounding a red circle with a hole punched through the red circle and 2 more holes to the left and right. So hard. It was just like a bunch of like circles all put together.
Eh?
And so basically, they're like, you're going to see this on more letters to come. And that's how you're going to know it's us writing that.
Us?
Who is us? It was us,
It was us, but not this
but
time?
not this time. So $50,000, by the way, calculator is worth about $1.2 million
I was gonna
today.
say, if we're in the 30s, like, holy shit.
Holy shit. And like Charles Lindbergh is rich, bitch, but like, yikes.
I mean, that's probably, like, all he had, right? Like, a couple million at that point? It was, like, hard to
Like,
be a millionaire, wasn't it, at this
well,
point?
being a millionaire was such a big deal back then. And now it's like so
I know
different.
I know, it's like you can barely get by with $1,000,000.
Literally tax the rich. But so they have this letter now, and they initially think that whoever wrote this letter is someone who spoke German as their native language with the way that it was written. So the crew starts to search the property, and Charles and his butler, Ollie, find a few additional clues. There were impressions on the ground under the window, under the nursery window. There were scraps of wood from a broken ladder and muddy footprints.
So someone used the ladder, climbed up, took
Got rid of
baby
the
on the
ladder.
ladder down, and then okay, okay.
That's what one would assume from seeing this.
Mhm.
So by 10 p.m., a crew of police officers arrive and start the investigation, but they have very little to go on. There's no eyewitnesses. They're in the middle of nowhere on a massive estate. So where do we start? The inside.
So no one heard the baby cry?
Tess. No one heard the baby cry. No one heard the dog bark. Nothing. Also, with the nursery window, the window was warped, so it never closed and latched properly. So it was literally the only way to get into the house without a key. But it's on the second floor, so you would need a ladder. And everyone was awake. So the baby wasn't crying, the dog wasn't barking. So it must be someone who was familiar with the household.
And familiar with the baby or the dog, because I feel like a dog can hear anything, any, like, unfamiliar even, like, foot sounds.
Exactly. So after midnight, a fingerprint expert examined the ransom note and I guess was the ladder there? I think there's scraps of the ladder and there were no usable fingerprints and like right footprints weren't found, leading experts to conclude that the kidnapper wore gloves and had some type of cloth on the sole of their shoe because they couldn't make out what type of shoe it was.
Well, smart, smart. You have to, gotta cover your tracks, my god.
You want to know something so haunting?
God.
So in the nursery, in the bed, the blankets that were on baby Charles before he was kidnapped, they weren't just lying in the crib. They were folded very neatly and placed on the shelf nearby.
So after they got the baby, they folded the blanket?
Yeah. And put it on the shelf where they like, kept the sheets. So it's also like, did someone know the nursery that way? And who would take the time to fold the blankets neatly and the baby's not crying?
It's giving that it's a woman to me for some reason.
Okay, interessant.
Because I feel like only a woman would be like, I'm doing this, but I should probably leave the place nicer than I found it.
True. A man would never think to
Would
like fold the sheet.
never. Of course not.
Wow, that's such a good point, Tess. That is such a good point.
Ugh.
So authorities figured that the kidnapper had to have some inside knowledge of the Lindberghs and their schedule because the Lindbergh schedule was very strict. Charles was a very strict person. So they used the country estate only for the weekends and they would leave on Monday. However, baby Charles was kidnapped on a Tuesday. So why were they there on a Tuesday? Well, baby Charles had a bad cough. So they figured they would stay an extra day. They thought that the fresh air would be good for his cough. So someone had to know that they were staying for an extra night.
Interesting.
Yes. So the first three suspects that we have, it's like a game of Clue.
This is all reminding me of Clue. Like, I was
Right?
truly thinking that the whole time. I was like, we got the butler, we got the nanny,
Exactly.
a
And the
ladder.
nursery, exactly. So the first three suspects, Betty Gow and the butler, Ollie Watley, and his wife, Elsie.
Okay.
So the Watleys had been with the Lindberghs all weekend long. And at the time of the kidnapping, Ollie was in bed and Elsie was downstairs in the kitchen making lemonade. But Betty, the nanny, had only arrived on that afternoon. So the police were like, was she planning a kidnapping before she got there? Now, according to Betty's statement, on March 1st, Anne, Charles' mom, had called Betty and asked her to come to the weekend estate. And Betty agrees, even though she had plans already with her boyfriend, Henry Red Johnson. So she said that she called her boyfriend Henry and she was like, hey, I can't make it anymore. I actually have to go into work. So then the police go and question Henry, and he backs up her story. However, in Henry's car, they find a bottle of milk. And this bottle of milk, like, really shakes the police officers. They're like, "There is no way a grown man can drink a bottle of milk. It has to be a baby."
I mean, nothing is more haunting than a man ordering a glass of milk at a certain age. Like, you just don't wanna see it. You
Yeah,
don't
but
wanna think about it.
did you see Baby Girl?
I did, I felt it was overhyped.
Yeah,
Felt like
but
it was
fair enough,
overhyped.
fair
I
enough.
was just like, "We get it. You're on the floor, Nicole Kidman, you're crawling to him, and he's drinking milk." Like, are we all so, like, clutch our pearls? It was like,
Right.
seen it before. I
This
get it.
was before Baby Girl too, so of course they were like, "Well, there can only be one thing, a baby."
Exactly. And I guess during this time, you did drink more milk as probably adults, like, that was kind
100%.
of your supplement, right? Of, like, getting good calcium and
Yes,
so that's
yeah.
not crazy. It'd be crazy now, I think.
Right, and apart from the milk, the police had no evidence to implicate Betty or Henry, so it kind of just ended there, and Charles really didn't like the police looking at his staff. He was like, "I trust these people, cut it out, so stop looking into them." So they do.
So they stop.
They stop with the staff.
I feel like no one should be able to say something like that that's involved in a crime scene.
I think that you're absolutely right, Tess.
Yeah, that's not great. Interesting. How old's the baby again?
20 months old, so he's almost 2. And when in normal people speak that don't have kids, that's an almost 2-year-old.
Okay. Okay.
I hate when you ask that. You're like, "How old's your baby?" And they're like, "36 months." And you're like, "Well,
You're like, please give me, I can't do math.
how could you do this to me?" Question mark.
Truly.
Yeah, so you're like, "Oh, they're 10. Got
So
it."
the baby can walk.
He's a toddler, so he's toddling.
Okay, he's toddling. He's doing his
Yeah.
thing.
He's
Okay.
he's trying his best.
Yeah.
So again, Charles Lindbergh is a mega celebrity at this time, so this creates a media uproar. Like, the world has never seen something like this. Like, it's a cliche nowadays to call something the crime of the century. Like, again, we have OJ, Menendez brothers. We have so many things that we could say that with. But this was the biggest case in not only America, but the world. So journalists just flock to the Lindbergh estate. Everyone wants to know what happened. Everyone wants to help them find this baby. On March 2nd, 1932, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover contacted the New Jersey Police Department, and he was like, hey, you've got the FBI for any resources that you could possibly need. But it
Damn.
wasn't just law enforcement. Al Capone, who's currently in jail in Chicago, he hears about this and he was like, hey, I'm going to use my criminal friends and my gangsters to help y'all locate the child. And I'll even put up a $10,000 reward to help you find this baby if you let me out of prison.
He's like, I gotta get out of here, please. I promise I'll help you.
And they're like, absolutely not, sweetheart. But it was just it was so indicative of how massive the story is that Al Capone hears about this 12 hours later in his Chicago prison cell. And there's no internet, there's no TV.
Crazy. Is that before he went to Alcatraz?
Yes, this was before Alcatraz. Listen to our Alcatraz episode.
Please do. It's a great one.
Right. So it's a huge story. And remember, in the initial ransom note, they say, do not contact the police and do not contact the media.
Right, like, of course. I mean, of course, they gotta put that in there, but
Yeah,
it's like,
what else are you gonna do? So then on March 6th, another ransom note arrives via mail. It says, "Dear sir, we warned you note to make anything public. Also notify the police. Now you have to take consequences. Means we will have to hold the baby until everything is quit," which means quiet. "We can note make any appointments just now. We know very well what it means to us. It's really necessary to make a world affair out of this or to get your baby back as soon as possible to settle those affairs in a quick way will be better for both. Don't be afraid about the baby, keeping care of us day and night. We will also feed him according to the diet." So
what
it's
diet how do they know what his diet is?
Great question. So then they basically say, originally we said $50,000, but now we have to keep the baby for longer than we expected. So now you're going to have to pay us $70,000. And we will not do anything about this until the papers and the police are out of it. And the kidnapping we prepare it, then it ends by saying the kidnapping we prepared in years. So we are prepared for everything.
Dang.
We are prepared for they're prepared for everything, Tess.
Every ting, little
And
tings. Why wouldn't he just have immediately, like, paid them? Or is that not how you do it in a
I don't know. Well, I feel like, first of all, yeah, I think you have to do some investigating. I don't
Okay,
really
that
know
yeah, I guess I'm just trying yeah.
because it could be anyone, but it also has that same weird signature at the bottom. It has the same handwriting. So it's from the same people. But also the media is a storm. Like, it's out of control. The story just keeps getting bigger and bigger. There's no way they can calm it down.
That's what you do.
Well, apparently the kidnappers are like, it is what it is. So they keep sending ransom notes. There was one sent on March 8th, March 10th. And then the kidnappers start asking for a volunteer of a go between to hand off the ransom money. Like, let's do this now.
Boy.
I can't, ugh, just like knowing, it's like the Patty Hearst thing, like not knowing when you're going to get communication, where you're going to get a letter.
That's so crazy. I'm like it's like detectives are trained in how to handle these kind of things, right?
Like, I guess.
Because I just found out recently that detectives aren't like you're not going to, like, detective school for, like, 4 years. Like, it's just a police officer that gets, promoted.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm shook to my core that this is a thing because I literally was like, "Detectives, you have to go through so much training." It's like, how do you know what to do in, like, a ransom case like this?
Sure, it is like enough on the police force that you have had training in that way. We've said this
Right.
before on RAM, but like I know a few girlies that can find information on people that you would think were impossible that I could recommend for the FBI.
Our friend Allison should be a detective. Like, if she ever wants to change careers, like, no training necessary. She would know what to do.
Exactly. And everyone has someone in their friend group that is capable of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these kidnappers, we don't know, they're requesting for a go between person to hand off the ransom money. And during this time, there's this guy, John F. Condon, and he was a well known Bronx personality, a retired school principal. He put an ad in the newspaper without talking to Lindberghs. He doesn't know them before this, allegedly, where he offered $1,000 if the kidnapper would return the child over to a Catholic priest. So the kidnappers saw this ad and they were like, they'll do. So they write a letter being like, hey, that John Condon guy, let's get him involved. And then John agrees to do it. And the police have so few leads at this point that they're like, sure, whatever, John will work.
Interesting.
So, with the support of the Lindberghs, and the police, John Condon began corresponding with the kidnappers. And over the course of 2 weeks, John would communicate by putting ads in the local papers, and the kidnappers would respond with writing letters. It's also
W
haunting and creepy. It's like, where are they coming from?
where are they?
But with all of this, it brings the Lindberghs hope that their son is alive because remember, at this point, they have no idea where he is. They have no idea what condition he's in, but they're like, surely if they're still, I know, with their baby.
I mean, gee, I can't imagine.
By the way, Charles Lindbergh, when all of this happened, he forbade his wife from crying about any of it or showing emotion towards it. Yeah,
Giving Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, if you know, you know.
I don't know.
He wouldn't let her cry during childbirth
What?
because it's a thing and,
Oh,
what we're
don't
not
say it.
gonna
Don't
say
say it.
because no one repeat,
I don't want them outside my window.
allegedly.
Wow. Yeah, it's giving psychopath.
Giving, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Exactly. So, over 2 weeks, they're getting letters back, and a meeting between John and a representative of a group that claimed to be the kidnappers was eventually scheduled for late one evening at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx. Can you think of a more haunting place for a meetup?
God, who are the kidnappers are just theater kids trying to be dramatic.
And they
Al
always are.
always. Think of Patty Hearst. I mean, geez.
Course, and they always are. So the cemetery it is. And this is just an initial meeting, by the way, just to be like, hey, we need to know that both sides are good before we do like a handoff. So according to John, the man in the cemetery, he couldn't quite make out his face because he stayed in the shadows. But he said he was about 30 to 35, about 5'9", athletic build. And the man said that his name was also John. So he would go by Cemetery John later.
He's like, "Yeah, just call me Cemetery John. That's cute. I've been thinking about it on the way here."
Exactly. It fits. It's good. And Cemetery John said that he was part of a Scandinavian sailor gang of 3 men and 2 women, and that the baby was being held on a boat unharmed, but he would only be returned for the ransom money. Okay. So John Coden was like, how do I even know that you really have the baby? How do I know that the baby is okay? And Cemetery John promised some proof that the kidnappers would soon send something to show that the baby was okay. And on March 16th, John Condon received a toddler's sleeping suit by mail with the seventh ransom note. Charles Lindbergh was able to identify that that was the same sleeping suit that his baby was wearing the night he was kidnapped.
But how do you know that the baby's still alive, though? They could have
Well,
just kept the suit.
that's a really good question. I guess they were like, you just have to believe us? Like and when they were doing that exchange, Cemetery John was like, you just have to trust me, but I will send you something to show that we have the baby.
At that point, Cemetery John should have just brought the baby.
No, I agree, but
Or else, like, oh god.
I feel like we're wasting time as well. But Tess, with this ransom note, they say money is ready, no cops, no Secret Service. I come alone like last time. So it's on. So we are doing the ransom handoff right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Police, when paying this ransom, actually do something very smart. They decide to use gold certificates to pay the ransom. So, gold certificates at the time had the same value as dollars, but they were super unique and they were starting to not be used as much. Like, we don't have gold certificates anymore. It was like a form of currency. So, there's so few of them that they're like, it's going to be easy to track. When he spends the money, it'll be very easy to find.
Smart.
So smart. So on April 2nd, 1932, John meets Cemetery John, and John Condon gives him the money, and the kidnapper gives him a letter. And the letter said that the child was on a boat called the Nellie. It's a small boat, and the baby is in the care of 2 innocent women who have no idea about any of this kidnapping. They're just watching the baby. And you can find this boat, the Nellie, at a marina in Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yes, very much like the Kennedys.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that this was a MV story.
Yes. Well, so the police immediately rushed to this marina at Martha's Vineyard because also it's like if you're the police officer that finds the Lindbergh baby, like you're set for life.
Hero.
So the kidnappers have the ransom money. The police go to find the boat, the Nellie, and they never find a boat called the Nellie, and thus the Lindbergh baby is not found on this trip. Yeah. So now, Tess, the kidnappers have the ransom money. The Lindberghs don't have their baby back. So it was like losing their baby for a second time. And they're like, what leverage do we have
And now,
now?
like, where the fuck can we even start?
How do we communicate with these people? Like,
I feel like they should have done this differently. I feel like it's like, you show me that baby or you don't get the money.
no,
It's
same.
baby first.
It's
Like,
baby first.
that's crazy that they agreed to this. This is, like, dumb as hell.
Well, yeah, Tess, it is. So maybe, let's just think about that later. I don't know. I don't know. It is crazy. It seems ridiculous that they wouldn't have made sure to have eyes on the baby at some point. I don't know. So, with the ransom paid, there's no further communication with the alleged kidnappers. So, on May 12th, about 6 weeks after the ransom was paid, a truck driver and his assistant pull over their truck on the side of the road in Mount Rose, New Jersey, which is a little less than 5 miles away from the Lindbergh estate. They pull over to go to the restroom. The assistant to the truck driver walks further into the woods as to not be seen when he's using the restroom, and he notices something on the ground. And at first, he looks at it and he thinks it's a dead animal. But as he gets closer, he realizes that it's the body of a small child.
Baby is dead.
Baby is dead.
So sad.
Devastating. So the skull was badly fractured. So it was obvious that the head had been crushed and the body had been scavenged by animals. There was indications of an attempt of a hasty burial. There was indications of an attempt at a hasty
It's such a hard word to burial.
burial. And all that's really left is a tattered white t-shirt.
Oh my God.
So the men notify the police who bring the nanny, Betty Gow, and she identified that it was, in fact, baby Charles Lindbergh Jr. Horrifying.
Must have been so scared the whole time.
I know, Tess, I know. So a funeral director conducts a rudimentary autopsy and declares that the child had been killed from a blow to the head and comes to the conclusion, Tess, that the baby had died about 2 months ago, which means
The night it happened?
that when most of the letters being exchanged trying to negotiate the ransom and the handoff, the baby was already dead.
Oh my God, he was dead the whole time.
He's dead the whole time.
So, oh God, this is so disturbing. Like,
It's so dark.
who could do that to a baby?
It's a whole other level of evil.
It's insane.
Yeah. So then the Lindberghs insisted on a cremation like right away. Like no further autopsy and like studying. They were just a cremation right away. So now this investigation makes a huge shift from a kidnapping to a murder. And if this child died the very night he was kidnapped, this puts them back at square one. And if it's square one with no new leads, we have to look at the possibility of this being an inside job.
Because, well, why wouldn't they just think like these men are evil and they didn't even care to take care of this child and they just wanted the money?
Well, why was the baby targeted at all? It could be a money thing. But how would they know to go on a Tuesday night when the Lindbergh family wasn't supposed to be there? Again, you look at the dog, you look at like all the things that takes you back in the first place. So you're like, how did they know exactly which window?
Right. Like someone maybe worked with
Yeah, worked with
worked
the
with
group.
cemetery, John. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So it's kind of like we just have to go square one again because it's a totally different thing than a kidnapping. It's a murder. So they start questioning the Lindbergh family and the extended Lindbergh family and find someone's story who doesn't quite add up. So there's this woman, Violet Sharp. She was an English immigrant and she was working for Anne's mother, serving her meals. So the baby's grandmother's servant. And the moment they begin questioning Violet, she becomes very nervous. She doesn't want to answer questions. She's like becomes a little belligerent and her story just like keeps changing. At first, on the night of the kidnapping, she was on a blind date. But right? But
Like girls got to have fun.
yeah, but she couldn't remember the name of her date. And then she claims she went to a movie, but she can't remember which one. And then she also claims later that she went to a row house and that she didn't go to a movie at all.
It's a row house.
I don't know.
Like rowing, like exercising? She had quite the night or quite the day. My God.
I think a row house might be like a boarding house.
Okay, yeah, it's not like rowing machines. They're like 4, 3, 2, 1.
She's like, I got to get my reps in, for my blind date that I can't remember his name, which is kind of relatable.
I mean, yeah, honestly, it's like sometimes you have to disassociate and just black it out because
Yeah,
it's so bad. So
there,
I don't blame her for that.
there are no female cops being like, I get you, sister.
Yeah, like, honey, say no more.
Yeah, keep it moving.
You're off the investigation.
So then they ask her for bank statements to see if she had made any major deposits because remember the ransom money. And then they're like, okay, your story keeps changing so much. Why don't you just come in and make an official statement, an official account of your whereabouts? But then she doesn't turn up to her last interview. So then they're like, is she on the run? Did she get spooked? And then Tess, on June 10th, 1 month after the baby's body was discovered, Violet Sharp's body is also discovered.
She was killed too?
To listen to this full episode ad free and find out exactly what happened in the Lindbergh case, you can join our premium channel, which the link is in the show notes. As a premium Rammy, you get 3 bonus episodes a month ad free, plus the whole catalog of premium episodes. You also get added to our close friends list on Instagram, where you can see hidden posts and stories. And most importantly, you support our show, which just means everything to us. So to listen to this full episode ad free and the whole premium catalog, join our premium channel. The link is in the show notes. Thank you so much, Rammies.